Hi, my name's Amanda and welcome to my podcast. You can find me on Ravelry as Likac66 and I'm also on Instagram as Little Likac Yarn. So please head over to either of those places to check me out. And I live in Derby in the UK with my husband and my 2 teenage daughters and my dog, who is joining me on this podcast. Every time I've started recording this afternoon, he has decided to do something to distract or disrupt the podcast. I've moved rooms because the room I was in previously, we've got laminate flooring down and he just kept walking around constantly. And yes, he keeps just making lots of noise, and so if you hear strange noises, then that'll be my dog. He might even come up and join me on the sofa in a bit. So welcome to the first podcast of Little Likac. So as I said before, my name is Amanda. I have been knitting for over 30 years. I also do a bit of crochet, although my experience in crochet is a lot less than my experience in knitting. I do a bit of cross stitch and sometimes some other bits of crafting as well, but knitting has always been my first love, will probably always be my first love. I've really enjoyed watching lots of knitting podcasts over the last year. I first started watching knitting podcasts a long time ago, probably 6 or 7 years ago, when there weren't so many podcasts around. But then my kids got more and more involved in activities, my work life got very, very busy, and I really did not have time for watching podcasts or being on Ravelry as much as I used to be either. But I still carried on knitting, just didn't really do so much of in the knitting community. But the last year, during the pandemic, like many people, I've been at home a lot more. I've been working from home. I've still been working all the way through. I've been working from home for a lot of months, and in the evenings and weekends I've been at home rather than driving the kids around to places or going off and doing things myself. So I've had a lot more time for knitting and a lot more time for getting involved on Ravelry again, and a lot more time for watching podcasts. And I've really enjoyed watching podcasts. It's been something that has helped me feel like I'm still in contact with other knitters. And I really miss going to wool shops, I really miss going to knitting groups, I really miss knitting in public and having conversations with people about knitting, because that's one thing I would always do anyway. If I was having to go somewhere, take my kids to places and was waiting around, I would very often have my knitting with me, and it quite often is a great conversation starter. And I often feel like if I'm on my own with my knitting, well, one, anyway, that's fine, I can just get on with my knitting, but quite often anyway, you're not on your own. Other people will talk to you, ask you what you're doing, ask you about it. So I really miss the social element that comes with knitting, and I think podcasts and YouTube community is a really good way of perhaps getting some of that socialisation back. So yes, I'm really hoping that people will watch this, talk to me, get in touch with me, and I'll do my best to respond to you as much as I can. And I hope that I'm going to be able to put out a video like this every 2 weeks. That's my plan. We can give that a try. There may be some times where life gets a little bit in the way, or my real life work gets in the way at certain times of the year, but I'm really going to do my best to podcast once every 2 weeks, probably put it out over a weekend because that will give me time to edit. Which is something I've not done before, so we'll see how that goes. This may be completely unedited, and we'll just, well, it's like knitting and everything else, isn't it? You start with the basics, and as you get more experienced and find out from other people, learn things, you know, maybe they'll become a bit more professional looking than it is today. Okay, so yes, let's get started then. I'm going to start with whips. I guess normally lots of people start with finished objects. I haven't got anything that I have finished in the last week or so anyway, so we'll just go on to what's on my needles at the moment. And my main focus is I have a few projects on the needles that perhaps aren't being focused on. I don't know about you, but I have quite a lot that are hibernating. Not as many as I have had. Last year, when I really got back into my knitting, I had a massive clear out, went through all the cupboards, found some projects that had been hiding for a very long time. and I got involved in a knit along or a make along with Nikki from the Sheep and Cheerful podcast. She was doing one on the Ravelry, her Ravelry group, for finishing off projects, and that was really helpful last year. I really found some projects that were very old, years old. Some of them literally, there was a pair of socks that just needed the toes grafting together on one of the socks. That was it, and the ends weaving in, and that had been sitting in a project bag for I don't know how, 2 or 3 years at least, just needing that. There was a cuddly toy that everything was knitted, everything was stuffed, he just needed sewing together and a face putting on him. So there was things like that, but so there are still maybe 3 or 4 projects that have been around for an embarrassingly long time, but you never know, maybe I will get them dug out again this year. So what am I working on mostly at the moment? I've got 3 projects that are on the go that I'm really focusing on. So the first one is a pair of socks, and I'm doing this pair of socks as part of the Rainbow Sock Chronicles. You may well have heard of them, of this make along, knit along that has been organised by So Sweet Violet, Jules from So Sweet Violet's podcast, and Kelly from Lay Family Yarns. So they've all organised and are hosting a knit along for where you knit a pair of socks every month for 12 months, and each month you have a different colour of the rainbow to focus on. So these are my April socks. In fact, this is my 2nd pair of socks for April. I did do another pair finished last week, I think, but they went straight to my daughter, and so I started a 2nd pair, and April's colour is yellow, and this pattern is an absolutely gorgeous pattern called Stormseeker, and it's designed by Kelly from Rowrowandkades. And I saw this pattern, I saw this sock on her Instagram, and she was, it was being test knitted, and it was in the planning stages, and I knew I loved the pattern. But I didn't know the name of it to begin with, but I was following her, waiting for the release of it. And when she released it, I couldn't believe my luck, because the pattern, as I said, is called Stormseeker, and it just was just like, it was like meant to be, because I had literally just dyed for myself, this colourway in yellow that was inspired by The Tempest by Shakespeare. The Tempest, of course, meaning storm, and this is Miranda from The Tempest. Miranda's a young romantic lead in the play, and I had dyed this yellow yarn, called it Miranda, and then a pair of socks, a pattern came out called Stormseeker, which was to me just the ideal pattern. Loved it, and I think the combination of the two is coming out really beautifully. So this is the first sock. Now I started it last week, and I had knitted the heel, turned the heel, and started on the gusset decreases, and realised that the pattern wasn't actually matching up right on the leg when I carried on knitting. Okay, sorry about that, had a little interruption there. So I was talking about the Stormseeker socks and explaining that I'd had to not restart, but I had to do the heel again, because I hadn't realised that the 60 stitch cast on was down as a child size on this pattern. I normally knit my socks 64 stitches, and in this pattern there was quite a lot of choices. Actually, it goes from baby size to large adult, and it had 72 stitches for the adult size and 60 stitches for child size, and I've gone with the 60 stitches because I felt 72 was going to be too big. So we shall see. I'm really hoping it will not be too small for me. Obviously I've made the heel flap longer than I would have done for a child size, and hopefully it will fit me. So yeah, that's the Stormseeker socks in the Miranda yarn. from my shop, Little Likac. So that, now that I've sorted the heel and sorted the pattern, I will be working on that quite a lot again over the next week or so. Need to have it finished by the end of April for it to count for the draws anyway, for the Rainbow Sock Chronicles, and I would think I'll get those finished before the end of April anyway. Depends how distracted I get by my other whips. So the project bag that this is in, I picked this project bag for all my socks that I've knitted for the Rainbow Sock Chronicles, because I don't know if you can see, it has got rainbows on it somewhere. There we are, rainbows there, unicorns, and then this pin badge is from So Sweet Violet's shop. So they did some badges and some other merchandise for the Rainbow Sock Chronicles. So yes, each month my rainbow socks go in there. Okay, so what else am I working on? This one is in a gorgeous bag from, I have made a note of her name, Clara Rose Crafts, which you can find on Etsy. I love fairies, I love flower fairies, so this is just a beautiful bag, and it came with these lovely little, well, I think they're progress keepers really, but they're a bit big for progress keepers, so I keep them on the bag. I just think they're so pretty. So this is a jumper that I am knitting, sorry, a top that I'm knitting for myself, and it is the V back tee, designed by Jamie Hoffman from Knitosophy, and I am loving this. I absolutely love this. I saw this pattern, this design on Ellie from Craft House Magic. She was knitting this in shades of green, and it's just beautiful, and I kept thinking about it, and I have got a very big stash of sock yarn, and I went to my stash and picked out some colours and put it together to make this. So the colours I'm using, this one, which is from Ducky Darlings, and this one is also from Ducky Darlings. So Ducky Darlings is a localish dyer. She is based in Derbyshire, and obviously I'm in Derby, so she's local to me, and this colourway is The Deep, and this one is Magic Spell. I think they could be ones that she no longer dyes, because I got it in got them in a lucky dip from her, and oh, perfect colours for me, just beautiful. So I've got these two from Ducky Darlings that I'm using, and then this one was out of Deep Stash. I have no idea if this person still dyes or not. DT Craft and Design is where this is from, and as I say, I have no idea if she's still dying or not. I couldn't even tell you where I got this yarn from, but it was in Deep Stash, and it's beautiful mix. It combines these two colours so well, because it's got the purples and the blues, and then I also had this one in Deep Stash, and I can't even find the label for it at the moment. I'd have to have a look on my Ravelry stash page to try and work out. So there's this one which is just going into the t-shirt at the moment. So it's a fantastic pattern, the V back tee. If I can work out how to do it, I will put a link to the pattern page. It is available on Ravelry for certain. I'm not sure if she's probably got her own website as well. I'd say the pattern is by Jamie Hoffman, and it's from Knitosophy. So this is the V back t-shirt, and yes, the idea is, the design is that the V goes at the back. However, it is designed that it can be worn either way. I think I am likely to wear it with the V at the front. You can see I'm wearing a V-neck now. I like V-necks, so I'm probably likely to actually wear it that way round with the V at the front. It's knitted in the round, and you can see then that it fades, and she has quite a good way of fading your colours so that it doesn't just go straight from one to the next. You have a transition phase where you actually knit from from 3 of the yarns at a time. And then I'm just got to the point now, because you can see, well, I don't know if you can see, but the width with the V is longer than the front without the V. So I'm just starting the section now where you do lots of short rows to level it off, and I'm just starting that section now, so I'm going to have to concentrate. So far it's been a fairly easy knit in respect of it's a 2-row repeat, 1 row being pretty much just knit, and the second row you have to do some increases and decreases, but it's been very straightforward. So now I'm getting into the short row section. I'm probably going to have to pay attention, and it will become less of a TV project. But I wanted something that I could work on fairly mindlessly, and it's been brilliant for that. It's knitted up really quickly. I think I only started this a week ago, and it's just knitted up so fast. I can't believe how quickly. I hope I'll probably have that knitted finished by the next time I film in a couple of weeks. So yeah, that's the V back tee, which will be a lovely lightweight summery top. It is short sleeved, so once I get to the bottom of the body, there's only, I don't know, not very many rows to do for each of the sleeves, and then some ribbing for each sleeve, so that really shouldn't take very long. So loving that project, really knitting up really quickly. Now the other one that is getting, well, probably still not getting as much attention as it needs, is a jumper for my eldest daughter. So last year when we were in the first lockdown, and I kind of rediscovered my real passion for knitting, I knew that in our garage there were quite a few boxes of yarn that had been pushed to the back of the garage, lots of things piled up in front of them, and if I'm honest, some of those boxes hadn't been opened for 4 or 5 years, and I wasn't sure what state even the yarn was going to be in. But one day probably about a year ago, April, May time I think it was, I ventured into the back of the garage, pulled those boxes out, and really sorted through, and it was wonderful actually, because I found yarns that I hadn't seen for years, that I had forgotten about, and it was like almost like going into my own little yarn shop, because there were so many yarns that I was like, oh, I'd forgotten about this. And I did get rid of some, but I find it very hard to get rid of yarn, to give it away, or heaven forbid throw it away. But I got rid of some, asked some people if they wanted it for free. I've got some friends who do charity knitting, gave some to them. Gave a little bit away to charity shops, but of course charity shops weren't collecting anyway, and I think I put some stuff into the boot of my car to give to charity shops, and then took it back out of the boot again and put it back in. But one of the things I found while I was going through that stash was I found I had got lots of balls of this, lots of it. And this is actually, it is actually Sirdar soya cotton, but it's, you can see it's unbanded, because I bought it in kind of like a job lot off of eBay, I'm going to say 10 years ago. And the reason why I bought a huge supply of it was because my daughter, eldest daughter, would have been about 8, and she was at a primary school where that was the colour for her school jumpers and cardigans, and she had really bad eczema, and one of the things that set off her eczema was acrylic and wearing acrylic clothes. So we had to make sure all of her school shirts or school dresses were cotton, and that was a nightmare, I can tell you, at that time. Nowadays I think it's easier to get certainly the summer dresses in cotton, but trying to find winter clothing for her in cotton was a nightmare. And the school jumpers that the school sold were acrylic, so I knitted jumpers knitted cardigans for her in the school blue, and I knitted them in cotton, and then, as I say, I found this yarn, which was a soya cotton blend, and I bought a ton of this wool off of eBay, so that I'd always got it ready for knitting the next cardigan for her. So yes, I'd still got, I think it was about 12 or 14 balls of this. And I joked to my daughter, I said, oh, I'll have to knit you another jumper from this. Well, and she went, honestly, I don't mind if you do, Mum. And I was surprised. So you don't want a jumper in, you know, your old school colours? Sure. And she said, no, honestly, Mum, don't mind if you do. And she really likes cabled jumpers, and she bought a couple last year herself of cabled cotton jumpers, because she's still got very sensitive skin, still finds a lot of jumpers, the fibres just too irritable for her. So, but she loves cabled jumpers, and I do like knitting cables. So yeah, but trying to find a cable jumper in a DK yarn was quite difficult actually, because most of the big cable jumpers I found were knitted in Aran weight or worsted weight, but I found this pattern. I got the pattern actually off eBay. I think it's cut out of a magazine, and I loved it, and I knew that she would love it. It's very much her sort of style. And it's a Sirdar pattern, and originally designed for Sirdar Click, which I do have actually in my stash. So I bought that off of eBay, and this is the back of the jumper. I don't know if I've said my daughter now is 18, and this isn't, well, I've called it her school jumper in my project page. But actually, it'll be a university jumper for her. She will be going off to university in September. I will definitely have this finished by then. I'd like to have it finished before that. And oh, it is knitting it out beautifully. And every time I work on it, she does say, oh, Mum, that's lovely, that's lovely. And I know she'll appreciate it. But you do have to concentrate because it's not a quick repeat. I think it's a 36 row repeat on the cables. So this is the back, which I've only got a few inches to go, I think, now on the back. The sleeves are plain, so I'm thinking to get the sleeve started at the same time as starting on the front, so that if I want plain, easy knitting in the evening, I can work on the sleeves, but if I've got a time where I can concentrate, I can be working on the cables. So I think I will do that as well as because I've got plenty of yarn for it. So I think I will cast on a sleeve as well. So I've got, when the VT is finished, the back t-shirt is finished, I've got the sleeves for this jumper, which will be easy to do and relatively mindless. And as I say, the cables on this definitely take a little bit more effort. So that is lovely. I mean, definitely will have it finished by the time she goes to university in September, but it's only April, so, you know, really, ideally, I'd like to have it finished end of May, another 6 weeks or so, would be really good if I could. Okay, so that's the Sirdar cable jumper. So those are, I've talked about 3 things, haven't I? Yeah, those are the 3 main things that I'm knitting on at the moment. The socks, the V-back tee and the cable jumper. They are getting most of my attention, but if I'm honest, I really need to pay more attention to that cable jumper, because I feel a bit sorry for my daughter because she asked for it well, I started it back in January, so I need to crack on. So those are my main works in progress. What I've got next is things that I'm planning on knitting next. So, because as soon as I get something finished, I like to get started straight away on the next thing. And as I mentioned at the start, I have 2 daughters. So the 18-year-old is having that blue jumper. And then the 16-year-old sent me a link to a cuddly toy she saw on Etsy a couple of days ago. And she has always loved this particular animal. Or type of animal, and she sent me a link to the cuddly toys already made, and they were quite expensive. I totally understand why they're the price they are. They're crocheted, they take a lot of work, but obviously you know what it's like. You see something and you kind of think, I could knit that, or I could make that. So yes, she sent me the link and said, I really like this. And before I knew it, I was searching on Ravelry for a pattern for a dinosaur. Now this is crochet, this is amigurumi. I have never crocheted a cuddly toy before. My crochet skills really has been limited to blankets. Yeah, blankets really. Granny stripes, granny squares, some of the Attic 24 blankets. Yeah, that's pretty much my, I did the seaside stash busting blanket, still a blanket, which did teach me lots of different stitches. But I have never, oh I did backpacks actually, I did 2 backpacks last year, the same pattern twice. But I have never done a crochet toy. I've knitted toys, so I understand the concept of knitting or crocheting them at a tighter gauge. I understand about stuffing them, putting the pieces together, sewing it together, so I can do all of that. But yeah, I mean, but isn't he gorgeous? Oh, but just to make it a little bit more difficult for me, of course, she didn't want him just in, you know, normal wool or acrylic, which is what I would normally use for cuddly toys. No, 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 no. She wanted him to be really soft, really fluffy, and basically what she wanted was chenille yarn, because she showed me the type of fabric she wanted. I went, that's chenille. Okay, I mean, knitting with chenille yarn isn't enough of a nightmare. Crocheting in it, I don't know. Anyway, her favourite colour at the moment is yellow. So I've ordered this JC Brett Flutterby Chunky because she wants them as big as possible. So I've got 2 balls of this, which I'm hoping will be enough. And then the contrasting colour is this grey, and she loves these colours. She loves yellows and greys, pastels. She wanted a prom dress in this colour. She's not got a prom this year. Breaks my heart. I feel so sorry for her. She had a Pinterest board of all of these beautiful dresses that she wanted to go and try on, and we had sourced a few places that stocked some of those dresses, so we knew where we were going to go to try on some dresses. She really, really, really wanted her prom dress to be in a sort of pastel yellow like this. Yeah, no prom for her, bless her. Anyway, so, you know, the least I can do is crochet a dinosaur for her in pale yellow, right? Yeah? So, right, if anyone has any tips for me on this, please, please, please leave them below. It says, it doesn't even mention crochet needles, crochet hooks on here. It says a 6mm needle. Now, as I say, I know with knitting toys you always go down, so if I was knitting I would go down to 5mm. So I'm thinking try a 5mm hook for this. Yes, okay. Don't know when I'm going to start it. I have got the wool, I've got the pattern. I need to get at least one thing off my needles anyway before I start the next. That's always what I say I'm going to do. But okay, so yes. So, I mean, he's a gorgeous dinosaur. The pattern is called Twinkle the Triceratops. I bought him on Ravelry, though I think the pattern might be on Etsy as well. So the pattern is called Twinkle the Triceratops, and it is designed by Karen Bennett. It was ever so cheap. I think it was £3 for the pattern. And then the yarn, about £12 I think maybe. So I think it'll cost me £15 to make. I've got plenty of stuffing in the garage, so shouldn't be a problem. So that's going to be started in the next couple of weeks. He will definitely be started by the time I podcast next. He will be started by then. Okay, and then I've got 2 other projects as well that are bagged up and ready to go. So when I've got things bagged up, that usually means they will get started fairly soon. So this bag was custom made for me by Makes by Kate, and she's on Etsy, and Kate is spelt with a C, C-A-T-E, Makes by Kate. And she had posted on Instagram that she'd got this vintage fabric, she'd got a selection of vintage fabric, and she'd just kind of put on Instagram, if anybody sees anything that they like, give her a shout. And I messaged her and said, I really, really like that pink. Could you do me a big bag in it? Which she did, and she popped it onto her Instagram, onto her Etsy shop, and I bought that. So lovely big bag, and inside this is my bargain. So I'm trying to use my stash as much as possible, but I'm certainly not on a yarn diet. I never say I won't buy any more stash, but I'm trying only to buy yarn for specific projects rather than just going, oh, that's pretty, let me buy that. Oh, that's pretty, let me buy that. I've been trying to avoid that. So sometimes I've gone, oh, that's pretty, what can I make with it, and deciding what to make before buying it. So, you know, that kind of makes me feel a bit better. But I didn't even do that with this. Another thing I like to do is going to charity shops. I love having a look around charity shops and finding little bargains and gems. And when they reopened this week, I went down to our local charity shop. I'm lucky that we've got 4 good charity shops within like a 2-mile radius of where I live. So I went down so that I could find out when they were taking donations. But in one of the shops, they just happened to have this beautiful raspberry pink in Aran weight. It's Jaeger extra fine merino, so it's amazing, really good quality. I've got some Jaeger, I've used Jaeger extra fine merino before. Not just one ball, oh no, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Could not believe my luck. So I was rummaging through this sort of kind of bin of yarn and found 2, kept going, 3, 4, I was like, oh, okay, this is definitely enough to make something. Kept going and found 8 in total. 50p a ball. 50p a ball, could not believe my luck. So for £4, I'm going to make myself a vest top or tank top. I think I've got an idea for a pattern in mind. The Mondo cable vest, which again I found on Ravelry, and that's by Chic Knits. I have had some patterns from Chic Knits definitely on my watch list or my queue from years ago. Don't know if I've actually ever bought or knitted anything from her. Bon Marie Burns is the designer name. But at the moment, I haven't bought the pattern yet, but at the moment I'm thinking the Mondo cable vest, which is a simple tank top with one large cable that just runs down the front. And I thought I might be able to wear that for work. It would go over a pink shirt, a white shirt, whatever, and be quite nice to wear for work. It gets quite cold where I work sometimes. It's quite good to work. It can be very cold in some rooms, very hot in some rooms, so it's quite good to have layers as well. So yeah, that is just stunning. But I am open to other suggestions of tank tops that would work, so it's not a definite that it's going to be that one, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a tank top or vest top of some sort for myself. So yeah, £4 for that beautiful wool, could not believe it. Funnily enough, actually, about this time last year I finished a cardigan I made for my 16-year-old from wool from a charity shop, where I think I got 6 big 100-gram balls of like a tweedy yarn, and I made her a big chunky, held it double, made her a big chunky cardigan with it, which again probably cost me about £6, something like that. I think it was 6 100-gram balls. Okay, and then my last future plans that I've got in this jumper, in this bag. I bought this bag actually off of Angela from Knitting on the Farm podcast. She was having a bit of a de-stash of project bags, and originally it's by a maker, Curly Emma, and it's a lovely big bag, and I also got with it a notions pouch, which I think is, yeah, here. So it came with this notions pouch and also with the needle minder, which might not be in here. That might be, no, I haven't got the needle minder in here. Anyway, so in here, so as I said to you, I've got a big stash, particularly of sock wool, and when I picked out the yarns for the V-back tee, I also picked out some other yarns that I thought would go well together, which I think I'm going to make more of a jumper, a full sweater, rather than short sleeves. So, and again, it's going to be faded. I've got this grey, and I've got this beautiful pink, orange and yellow. And I have got this, which I think has got the similar grey to this and similar yellow to this. So I think it will go nicely in between. And then this isn't sock yarn, this is a Sublime Baby, it's still fingering weight, 4-ply weight, Sublime Baby Cashmere Merino Silk 4-ply. So that's got the pink. So the idea is we'll have the pink, start with the pink around the neck, then we'll go into this crazy, but it's got the pinks, orange and yellow. Then we'll go into this, which has got the yellow and then 2 shades of grey, and then finish with this grey. That's the plan at the moment. All of these yarns have got cashmere in them as well. So this one is Luxury Sock by Knit Crate and is 75% merino, 15% nylon, 10% cashmere. This is also from Knit Crate, and this one 75% wool, 15% silk and 10% cashmere. This one also by Knit Crate is the same, 75% merino, 15% nylon, 10% cashmere. And then this one, as I say, is a cashmere merino silk blend as well. 75% merino, 20% silk, 5% cashmere. So they're all got cashmere, and at least 2 of them as well. I've got silk in them as well, so really super soft. Haven't definitely decided on the design yet. Again, thinking of something knit in the round because it just makes it easier, especially if you're going to do fade. And I like things with a V-neck, as I said before, so sometimes that makes it much more difficult finding knitted in the round V-neck jumpers. But I have seen one on Ravelry called Holiday. They haven't done it in a fade, they've just done it in a plain colour, but I'm thinking this is why I'm doing the VT back first, to get used to how to do the fade effect, and then I'm thinking I can try and do that myself on the Holiday jumper. So let me just get that jumper up. I thought I'd been organised and had everything ready, but so it's called Holiday. It's by a designer called Eri, can't find it now, Eri Shimizu. Where's it gone? This is bad, isn't it? Just but if you see, it's just a very plain, simple V-neck, top-down sweater. Uses fingering weight, knitted top-down, and I just thought that would work really well, be easy I think to do it as a fade. So she's got it in, you can do it with long sleeves or short sleeves. I'll do it long sleeves I think, because I think this would be more spring or autumn rather than summer, because they're quite warm wools I think with the cashmere in it. Even though it's fingering weight, I think they'll be quite warm. So yes, don't know for certain when that will get cast on. I think that will be the pattern, because as I say, it's not easy to find things that are knitted in the round with a V-neck rather than sort of like a tighter neck. So yes, okay. So that is the focus on the knitting for now. I have got some blankets, kind of scrappy blankets that I'm working on as well, but I'll save those for another time because I think this will be long enough for my first podcast. So yeah, just a little bit of chat then. What can I tell you? So things are slowly going back to normal. Both my daughters are at their dance studio today, which has been great for them. They've been so excited to get back to dance, and they're both there for quite a lot of hours today. It's their last day of the school holidays, the Easter holidays, and they are doing a dance show with their dance school in July. And the dance studio was so excited to be able to get as many of them in today for kind of a quick, well, the first rehearsals that they will have had actually in person for these dance shows. They've not been dancing in the dance studios since December. They've been doing everything over Zoom, which for dance is not great. So that's where they are today, which has given me some space and peace and quiet in the house. It's my last day of my holiday, and I'll be back at work on Monday. I'm quite excited as well this weekend, thinking of things sort of opening up a little bit. I'm going to be doing a 10k race on Sunday. I do like running. I'm very slow, I'm not a fast runner, but I do go out running and I like long distance runs. So I'm quite excited to actually run with other people, and this will be the first race that I've done since March of last year when everything closed down. The last race I did last year was actually a 20-mile race because I was in training for Manchester Marathon, and I should have done Manchester Marathon in April last year, and obviously it got cancelled. Well, it got postponed and they were going to do it in October, so I kept sort of the training going, and then in July last year they said it wasn't going to happen in October, and now it's going to be happening in October this year. So I've got 6 months to get back to marathon stamina, and I'm a long way from that. So 10k on Sunday is going to be long enough. So, but I'm really looking forward to actually running with other people, even though we've still got to keep 2 meters apart from overtaking. I don't do much overtaking. People are normally overtaking me. I'm very much back at the pack. I'm a jogger really rather than a runner, although I hate using the word jog. But yeah, but I'm really excited about seeing people doing that on Sunday. Yeah, so pubs have reopened, cafes have reopened, but you have to sit outside. We haven't been to any of those yet. I don't even know that we're planning on going to anywhere like that yet. It'd be nice maybe to meet up with a friend for coffee or something like that, but and then I think it's May before restaurants and things can open actually indoors as well. So, but if the weather warms up, it's very cold still in the UK, if the weather warms up, we might go for a drink outside and sit outside. I've seen lots of people on Facebook and Instagram sitting outside with their pints, and they're all wrapped up in coats and hats and things like that, and I'm thinking, I don't see the point in that. When if I want to have a glass of wine or a gin and tonic, I'll do that in the warmth of my house rather than sitting outside in the freezing cold to do it. So okay, well, it has been really nice to talk to, hopefully talking to people. I'm really hoping that somebody watches this, and if you have liked it and enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me a sign that you've watched it and enjoyed it. If you've got to the end, that's amazing. And I think if you subscribe, then you will get a notification when I upload another video, hopefully in 2 weeks' time. So yeah, give me a like, give me a comment, anything you did like about the podcast. Yeah, be nice. Please don't tell me all the things that you think are terrible. It's my first time. I'm sure when I watch it back myself, I will see lots of things I can improve on. And as I get used to doing it and working out the editing and things like that, I'm sure I will be able to put more things in it and to it. So yeah, that's great. Thank you very much for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.